Hi everyone, thank you for watching another installment of my vlog in Cologne, Germany for my semester abroad. The topic of this week's video is the Day of German Unity, or Tag der Deutschen Einheit, and my trip to Frankfurt this past weekend. But before I get into that, I'll just give you a basic rundown of last week. Typical week of classes, kind of a lazy week because I spent last weekend in Amsterdam, so I was a little tired in the beginning of the week. But on Thursday, I had an exam for my German course, one of my German courses I'm taking, and it was 75% of my grade, so that was a little nerve-wracking, and it was listening and reading, but it turned out not to be too bad, and I'm glad to have that over with. And that was on Thursday. And then on Friday, I left to go to Frankfurt for 2 days with some people in my group because there was a big festival for the German reunification, which I'll get into later. But as always, a new word that I learned this week. Well, I don't know if I learned it this week or a couple weeks ago, but it was fitting because well, the word is Die Wiedervereinigung, and it means reunification, and that's because we were celebrating Germany's reunification. So, Wiedervereinigung is the word for this week. A new food that I tried, which I tried just today, and I'm not really sure if it is German, and it's kind of hard to explain, but it was like these. It reminded me of mozzarella sticks, except I don't like mozzarella sticks, but I like these. Um, but they were like little, really thin pieces or rolls of bread with cheese in the middle, but the cheese wasn't cooked and or baked or whatever you say for cheese in the middle of bread. But it was they were really good. I had it at dinner today with my program because we had a dinner to meet with all the host families can come together and meet each other, and it was really good. And then my funny story, well, maybe funny story for this week was in Frankfurt on Saturday. We had some time, we had some extra time, and so I was looking up things to do in the city for the festival and free things to do. And I saw that the zoo is free, so I made my group come with me, or suggested that we go to the zoo. And it was maybe like a 45-minute walk, maybe an hour from where we were. Not terrible. But we got there, and it turns out that it wasn't free. And that's because I misread it. And what I read was fry, which means free. But what it actually said was fried sight, which means something you can do in your free time. So I dragged my group that I was with across Frankfurt to go to a free zoo that wasn't free, and this is my public apology to them. And speaking of the zoo, on our way to the zoo, we took this picture, which is my favorite picture from this week, and here's my group that I went with. And this was us happy before we went to the zoo because we thought we were going to the zoo, but we never went to the zoo. So sorry again, guys, and that gets me also into the topic of this week's video, which was my weekend in Frankfurt and Tag der Deutschen Einheit, or Day of German Unity. And so on Friday after class, it was maybe mid-afternoon, we left to go to Frankfurt, and we went by bus, and the drive wasn't too bad. It was supposed to be, I think it was supposed to be 2.5 hours, but it turned out to be three and a half, and that was just because of traffic. And I read before the festival, or before I actually went, I think they estimated 1 million visitors to Frankfurt. I'm not sure how many actually went, but I'm assuming that they had high traffic volume, or high volume of traffic, and so that's why it took a little bit longer to get there. And since once we got there, we checked into our hostel, which was very nice, by the way. If you're in Leipzig or Frankfurt, I recommend going to Five Elements Hostel, or Jugendherberge auf Deutsch. And it was really nice, really great hostel. I recommend it. And so after we checked in, we went and walked around the city, and it turns out this was the day before the actual festival, but there was already tents up everywhere along the river with like free exhibits about Germany's history and places to eat. And it was really good atmosphere. And it was along the river, and they had like a light show over the river, like going on both sides, and it looked really cool. And they also had like a giant screen with pictures representing Germany's unity, and it was really cool to see. And then on Saturday, the next day, we went to this is the actual Day of German Unity, October 3rd, and we went around the city looking at the different things, or going to different things, or looking for different things to do, and it wasn't hard to find. There was a bunch of exhibits, more tents with a lot of free stuff, and it turns out I think the Germans like free stuff even more than Americans do, and they have no problem skipping line for it. So while I waited patiently, a horde of Germans would overtake me. So just a cultural thing that I noticed, that Germans aren't as good at waiting in line, but they're good at a lot of other stuff. And that brings me to my next point. Was at this festival, it was 25 years of German reunification between the West and East. And like I said, Germans, I think, are good at a lot of stuff, and they have a lot to be proud of in their country. But at this festival, this is the main festival in the country. Like the chancellor was there, the president was there, but hardly a German flag was there, which was kind of crazy that this is one of their biggest celebrations, 25 years, and there was hardly a German flag. I maybe saw a handful, which was a big surprise. I thought, and I know that they sometimes still have issues with displaying nationalism just because of their history, but I thought they had a lot to be proud of. But it was kind of a bummer not to see more German flags. And I think they should. I think they're proud of their country, but sometimes they don't know the appropriate way to show it because they don't want to be judged. But I think they should embrace their flag more. And speaking of which, this is one of the free things that I got, which is just a little German bracelet, but it says on it "Gemeinsam schneller helfen," which I think is in support of helping the refugees. So this made me happy that I did get something with the German flag on it. And so that was on Saturday. We didn't get to see Angela Merkel, which was kind of a bummer, but I guess what can you do? And then we also were able to eat. It's funny, we didn't really actually eat much German food. Friday night we ate Chinese food, and then Saturday morning we ate Italian food, and then Saturday night we ate Thai food. So for celebrating Germans' unity, we didn't really eat much German food, which was a bummer. But one cool thing was they had tents from each the states. There's 16 states in Germany, and I believe they had like tents for each state. And so we went to the state that Cologne's from, I forget, I'm gonna butcher the name, but the state that Cologne's in, Nordwestphalia, I'm butchering it, but we went to that tent, and it was cool because they had a model of the Colonel Dome there, and here's a picture of us in front of it. So it was cool to see different representations of all of Germany in one spot. And then we also went around. There's a giant, I guess, I don't know if I call it a tent or a building with a bunch of exhibits with representatives from the different ministries in Germany. That's like equivalent to the U.S. departments. So they had like the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education, and so I went to the Ministry of like Environmental Policy and Environmental Protection, and they had these little quizzes that you could take, and if you answer the questions correctly, then you would get a prize. And I was like, okay, something free, why not? And so I take it, and I'm like looking at it, taking my best guess, and I give it to the guy. And he looks at it, and this conversation is obviously in German. He goes, "No, this is wrong," and just hands it back to me. And it was a little embarrassing because it turned out that it wasn't a quiz. It was more like, I don't know, maybe it was a quiz. But anyways, the answers were around the booth, and so you had to go explore the booth and read things and get the answers from that. I thought it was just a general knowledge test, so it was a little embarrassing to just stand there. He probably thought I was crazy. I was just standing there, checked things off, and gave it back to him. And so I walked away with my head in shame and tried again at the next booth. And so, although we didn't get to do like maybe something big or specific, like go to a museum in Frankfurt, it was still really cool to be part of the festival celebrating Germany's reunification. And Frankfurt was not my favorite city. I like Cologne better. Sorry for the Frankfurters. Did they say that? People from Frankfurt, Frankfurters, or citizens of Frankfurt, I'm sorry, but I think Cologne's a little bit better or friendlier for students. Frankfurt seemed to be more commercialized, and it didn't smell very good. It wasn't as clean, but yeah, it was a good time. I'm still glad that I got to celebrate the festival, even though I didn't see Angela Merkel. That's okay. Maybe next time, or when I go to Berlin later this month. But that's all for this video. I'm not sure what next week's video will be about, but I guess we can find out then. And so thank you for watching.